like to now take the conversation in a slightly different direction. And it concerns Indian automotive manufacturers and component manufacturers in particular. They rely largely on joint ventures and on technical alliances to penetrate the global market, which of course gives foreign automotive brands lucrative and easy access to the rich Indian market. But how can we as industry professionals build brand India on international turf? It's a challenging question, and to share his take, may I please invite on stage the chairman of Samvardhana Motherson Group, VC Sehgal. Sir, if I could please have you join us. Huge round of applause for him.
So good afternoon. I think I'm holding all of you for lunch. So I'll try and go through my presentation very fast. Today is very interesting. We could get a sense of the urgency, the need, and all these particular aspects of automotive business. Automotive business is 100% of Motherson's business. We don't do any other business other than cars. So take it for whatever it means. Motherson has no other alternate business. So the topic I've been given is growing globally from India. Motherson did grow from India. We come from a very humble background. My mother and me started this company in 1975. We started with a princely sum of 1,000 rupees. That's how the business started. I was 18 years old and I've done nothing else but automotive all my life. The name signifies a relationship of trust with all stakeholders. What's not important is what we did from 75 to 1983, but Maruti actually brought us into the automotive side of the business. We were trading, and then we got into wire making, and then from wire making we got into wire harness making. So the first phase really was to learn the business. A lot of people come into industry and then have these huge dreams which they want to fulfill over, but nobody really specializes and focuses on what the need is. I have the ability to say that, yeah, from hindsight, we focused on the Indian thing. We never exported anything till almost 2000, year 2000. So the first 25 years was basically growing in India, understanding India. We did a lot of vertical integration because in those days phased manufacturing programs were very, very important from the government of India due to high import duties. We did a lot of joint ventures. Motherson is a joint venture specialist company. And of course, working to world-class standards. The cars that were coming into India were very, very high-tech compared to the cars that were being produced in India at that time. So we started to work to some great global benchmarks. Strong trusted relationship with the global car makers in India. I think the first most important thing that Motherson did really especially is to focus on the car makers. We didn't compete with them. Even today, there's hardly any aftermarket business that Motherson does. We are now more than 41 countries globally with over 250 plus manufacturing plants. We are 100% OEM suppliers. But it was also important for us to actually come up with a vision for Motherson. How do you communicate with about 140,000 people which are there globally? How do you tell them where, what you want to do? The basis was to be a globally preferred solution provider. That became our vision. Even today, if you look at our annual reports, they talk of the same vision. We do not have any other. So focus on the vision is very important to communicate with all the stakeholders in the company. The second thing that we did was we have 5-year plans. I don't know why everybody talks about quarter on automotives. Automotive is something which needs at least a 5-year plan because you need 5 years for the models to come up. 5 years is the average life of the car by and large. Depending if the car is not doing well, you'll have some very, very important facelifts and things like that coming in. So in 1995, Motherson, when after it had become a public listed company, actually came out with a 5-year plan, which was 95 to 2000. And from the year 2000, we started writing our 5-year plan into our annual report. So we're probably one of the very few companies in the world which actually gives you a head up on the top line, bottom line, and where we will be, what we are going to do. In this uncertain world, to be able to make a commitment is something which you're telling to your employees, to all your stakeholders, that's where you want to be. And that brings a union with the long-term thinking, where do you want to be. But a bit to go back, in 1947, 552 princely states became India. For a lot of people, they ask me this question, how come you don't have cultural issues? Well, the good news is if you're born, brought up in India, you're already talking to 552 different countries and different philosophies and things like that. We're the only country which has 17 languages on the currency note. I keep talking to the Japanese tell me they have one, actually they have two, they also have English. But here is a country which is an amazing learning ground to learn what different varieties, different thought processes are happening. We do it all the time. You go into your office and you actually ask, oh, this gentleman is from Tamil Nadu. But Tamil Nadu was not existing before 1947. So there were many kingdoms. Every person comes in with his own unique cultural inputs, and then that makes the company great. That's what Motherson could identify way long ago, and that's where we started to use that. Now you understand what's another 40 countries for Motherson is nothing. It's the same. We're in India, we're in Germany, we're in Italy, we're in every country in the world. The cultural point of it, I don't know why people make such a big humbug about it. Anyway, the phase 2 was from the year 2000 to 2009. We were requested by Ford to first come into Europe. They said, wow, you're great in India. How come you guys are not outside? So we actually went to a place called Austria. We went into a small city called Liebring, and from there we set up our first plant outside India. That was at the behest of Ford. Within 3 months, we could get a Q1 certificate from Ford, for those who understand that. Daimler and Ford asked us to diversify more, come up with more and more products, come out in more different countries. We also, in 2002, took over a company which was in Ireland, in a place called Wexford. The land was identified to become a housing complex, so we had to move, and we moved it to Sharjah. And that's where the first big plant of wiring harness came from Motherson. And we did a lot of small acquisitions. Our acquisitions were $1 acquisitions where the customer directed us to tell us exactly which customer to, what company to buy and things like that. In its own way, we could come into different countries and understand what are the nuances of that particular country and how to then support it with the manufacturing all over the world. To 2009 and present, where we are today, we started doing some bigger acquisitions. By the way, in 2009, 6th of March, we acquired a company called Visiocorp. And on the 9th of March, the market started to rise after the Lehman crisis. That probably was the best acquisition that we did. We were paid money to take over this particular company, which was bigger than our group. And today, this company has already grown 4x in a market where they say cars are going to come down in the world. By the way, in the last 60 years, the car production has never come down globally. It's always increased globally, not particular country or something. We then did S&P in 2011. We did lots of acquisitions in Germany, USA, and India in 2014. 2017, we did the big ticket acquisition of PKC, which was the largest wiring harness maker for commercial vehicles. In August this year, we also acquired Radel. This led to a situation like this. We are working with 26 joint venture partners in different parts of the world. We have another 125,000 plus employees globally, which are directly working for Motherson. We operate in 250 plus manufacturing plants in 41 countries. Our yearly revenues last year is 11.5 billion. Remember, we started with 1,000 rupees, so you can see how the transition happens if you keep your focus. And our market cap was 10 billion, but of course nowadays everything is coming down. What about India? I think India is very important. If you ignore India, then you have missed the biggest opportunity in the world. For me, India today gets divided by 72 rupees to $1, so everything seems very, very small. But actually, India is a great learning ground. The ability to do a business over here successfully actually helps you to understand global production places, countries, where you can actually produce and things like that. So a key market for the automotive, a lot of people have talked about it. We are the second largest automotive market, including two-wheelers, 25 million units a year. I can bet very few people know that India is actually the second largest road network in the world. We are bigger than China, and this is metal roads. So here is a country which is talking about cities and the jamming up of the whole thing. Actually, the automotive business, luckily for me, started off somewhere around when Bhargav Saab came in, 1983, Maruti Suzuki came in, and that's when that. If I'm not wrong, in 1982, 42,000 cars were produced every year. Now, think about it, with the second largest road network, we didn't build it overnight. We had that, we kept jamming up the cities. Today, when you go into these highways, you actually see the new cities, the Navi Mumbai and the Jewars and the other places all coming up all around Delhi and all that. And I'm sure, like USA or like all the developed countries in the world, India is also going to decongestionize with the cities coming all around it. But anyway, I'm not a big brainy guy on these kind of things, but think about it, 5.6 million kilometers. We're about, if I'm not wrong, about 1 million kilometers more than China. And you can go on The Economist and they can give you this particular thing. But as one gentleman said, a very low penetration of cars per person. We're only 17 cars per 1,000. And that is a conundrum. There's something wrong there. There's something wrong there. But I'm sure market forces will correct it. The Indian light vehicle market forecast, they say, is going to go to 4.99 million. Of course, I don't know what speed at which we are going to change. But yes, this is where we think we are. We know that Indian automotive market is going to generate easily more than 300 billion in annual revenues by 2026. How to grow in India in the future? Well, the way Motherson looks at it, we don't take bets. Motherson is not a betting company. We stick with the brick and mortar business. That's where we are. We are agnostic to the engine. We are agnostic to a lot of the technologies that wonderful people here told us about. So we are into the brick and mortar of it. So Motherson has been intelligent enough to be there in that particular thing. So we're talking of a lot of various things which our groups are doing, basically to help what the car makers, new trends and things like that which are going to come out. That's the thing that we're going to do. This is more about materials because it has to be lighter yet stronger. That's the combination that you have to remember. Lighter, stronger. Lighter, stronger. We talk about recyclability, the ability of the responsibility of the suppliers like us to be recyclable, all our products and things like that. And of course, a multitude of this thing. So Motherson, coming back to our growth journey, has 3 pillars of growth. One, the organic growth. The second is the inorganic growth. We have 21 acquisitions that we have done up till now. And growth through joint ventures. Believe it or not, we actually prefer a joint venture to an acquisition
because acquisition has its own issues and things like that. We prefer joint ventures. So going on to the first one, we are talking about organic growth. Some of the mantras that we have kept very, very clear in our group. We never compromise on the quality of our products. We, as later on you will see, from every car maker, we have always had the ability to be on the 0.5%, top 0.5% of their evaluation for quality and other things. We have moved from products to solutions. We do that with QC, DDM, SES, which is quality, cost, design, delivery, management, safety, environment, and sustainability. The car makers today need these particular 8 parameters of growth. Even our customer Maruti is now talking about pillars of excellence. To be trusted by the car maker is very important. For us, we are not so worried about what the global standards on quality and things are. What we worry about is what is the customer thinking about what we are doing. So for us, the customer's award is way more important than Deming's award or any such kind of a thought process. Motherson is trusted OEM globally. We are setting up new plants and things like that for almost all the car makers in the world. The second growth is the inorganic growth, where sometimes the customer is faced with a challenge where a customer or a supplier has gone bankrupt. They want somebody to come in with the long-term view, not a private equity or a hedge fund view, which is 5 years or something like that. Somebody who's going to be there for a long term, and Motherson definitely is a long-term player. We have never, in our history, we have never sold a company. We have never moved a company, never moved a plant for labor arbitrage. We don't believe in labor arbitrage. We believe that every country in the world has a right to manufacture for itself in that country, and our job is to make it relevant and economically intelligent to do that. So people look for an easy way out. We don't. We look at it in long term. Of course, I have a strike rate of 5%, which means 95% of the ideas are into the dustbin or whatever. But just see, the acquisitions that we have done from 2002 onwards. 21 acquisitions have been done. It's my pleasure to report to you that every one of them is doing very well. They're all in their own way contributing to their country, to the customer, to the group in a positive manner. So that we feel very, very proud of. And you can see the multitude of the different countries in which these particular acquisitions are. We operate them in that country itself. Visicorp acquisition was a very important acquisition. I told you about this. Then we did the Peguform acquisition. We did the PKC acquisition, which actually allowed us to get into the rolling stock, which is the trains, the metros and things like that, where we make the entire harnesses and other plastic parts for this particular coaches and things like that. And of course, the Radial acquisition, which was done, basically to get us into the B segment and the C segment of this thing, and the French customers came in as the thing. The third pillar of growth, which I told you is a very, very close thing to me. We are very proud that we have a 34-year-old joint venture, which is the oldest joint venture of Sumitomo in the world, is with us. It's very successful. We started way back in 1983. We are now going to close to 35 years. We have 26 existing joint venture partners. People have difficulty to run one. I have 26 of them, probably that's why my hair is gone. There are 9 countries of origin for the JV partners, 3 number of joint ventures with the same partner, 31 number of partnerships working with at the moment, and 34 year is the oldest age of the Sumitomo joint venture. Almost every car maker in the world, we are tied up with them. We are working with them. We're supplying something or the other to them. We support our customers globally. I have to go a bit fast, otherwise we're going to go on that. This is where we are. Definitely in the next 5-year plan, which will happen in 2020, We will tell you which other countries we're going to go to. Some of the basic thought that Motherson is trying to put forward to you, for whatever it's worth, I share it with you. Akla Chalo. This was a master thing which was given by Rabindranath Ji to all of us. Our approach is not to follow what other people have done. You have to make your own way. You have to walk your own path. I think if you're nimble-footed and you come up with the fastest response time to what the customer needs, you're home. We as a group don't have a strategy. Our strategy is not to have a strategy because honestly, I can't see which strategy worked for a very long time. Everything is changing. It's the age of disruption, as a lot of people keep saying. I say, fine, yes it is. Then I think nimble-footedness is going to be the fast response time is what's going to really do. Second thing is, don't only look for right skill sets and the right people and the right environment and the opportunities actually exist on the other side. So if you understand what I'm trying to say. So Einstein, very, very close to our thought process, said, knowledge will get you from point A to B, and imagination will get you everywhere. So please use your imagination, please open your eyes and dream. That will get you a lot. The last slide I'm going to come to is by Mir Taqi Mir. It's a very exciting 5-verse poetry of Mir Taqi Mir. I'll leave you with the first verse of it. It says, "Ibtidai ishq hai, rota hai kya, aage aage dekhiye hota hai kya." Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sehgal sir, but I ask that you please remain on stage with us for a few moments longer. Simply because it's not every day that we're in the presence of industry luminaries. So given that we have you here with us, I'd like for the editor of ET Auto, Naveel Khan, to please engage you in a fireside chat, and let's make this interactive.
So you have left us with the couplets. I also have a couplet to summarize what you have done so far. हम अपना ज़माना आप ही बनाते हैं, हम वो नहीं कि ज़माना हमको बना गया. This is what looks like when we have Mr. Sehgal here and we look at his work that he has done. You are inspiration to a lot of people. What really inspires you?
I really wonder, in this age of disruption, if I really inspire anybody. I think I was talking to Ashok and I was telling him, this whole thing should have been actually electric, mobile, other thing, how to disrupt. I think inspiration for me, my biggest inspiration is my big boss, that's Lord Krishna. But time and again, Indian thought process has taught you that there are Shiksha ke Guru and Diksha ke Guru. So a lot of people. Mr. Bhargav inspires us like amazing, and so many people who are sitting here in panel, I was amazed at their knowledge. So everything inspires me.
You said that my strategy is not to have a strategy. What's that strategy? How do you unfold that this is the right? You said that your strike rate when you go for acquisition, you have only 5%. What are the key things that you look up to when you are really acquiring the company?
Actually, there's no rocket science in that. What actually happens is there's a customer who's going to pay the bill eventually. If you take over an acquisition, the customer is going to pay the bill. The customer himself will tell you whether the terms and conditions and the technology and all other things are relevant for him. And that's where the 5% comes from. We don't want to take over anything just because it makes us feel bigger, or we don't worry about that. We focus on what the customer wants.
So focus on customer is the key. That's what you're trying to. Secondly, we talk about India, taking India to the global turf. How tough it is, because when we talk about your industry counterparts, around in 80s, there were 5-6 companies that came up with Maruti. You are one of the few companies that has really been able to establish on global level. What has really worked out for you, and you think your colleagues were missing probably when it comes to taking India to global turf?
Well, first was the undying belief that cars will remain. I know it's pretty irrelevant in today's term when people talk about cars being only 5% used. I wonder if they have a toaster in their house, because the toaster is probably owned used maybe 0.25% of its life. Same with the bed in which you sleep in. I mean, they've gone wrong on the aspiration part of it. One of the gentlemen said that, one of the first things that people buy is a car. When they get a job, the first thing is to buy a car, take your friend or boyfriend or your girlfriend out. That's the basic this thing. So they've removed the aspiration from automotive or bikes and things like that. And I feel sad about that. But I feel that eventually people will realize the same thing happened when the videos and all these things came. Everybody said, okay, we'll watch the films at home. But I go to a mall now, I see these huge cinema halls and all that, and I see people back and they're paying crazy money to go and watch a film in a hall, right?
Yeah, so there's no fear from EV or anything that's coming up. You have acquired 21 companies. You have one of the oldest joint venture. What really helps you manage these big network of companies? What is your mantra of managing?
Thank you very much for asking this question, because the first and most important thing is not to manage. You need to have the pulse.
So you have antithesis for everything.
Yeah, we are contrarians because whatever I've heard. See, I was 17 when I started working out, so not in the gym, as you can see, but in my company. But what I was talking about is that everybody wants to manage. It's like a fixation. But what I think the ownership or the entrepreneurs have to do is to feel a pulse. You go to a doctor, the first thing he does is feels your pulse. I mean, you could be having headache or you could be having stomachache, but he still touches your arm and feels the pulse. So I think business for me is all about pulse. It's not about management.
Okay, so now I had the opportunity to ask a few questions. So I will open this for the audience also. You can also have the opportunity to ask.
I am
the
not
man
so
himself
intelligent, so please don't ask me very tough questions on electric engines.
Yeah, so.
Hello, sir. I'm Ruchir Shukla. A very simple question. You haven't shared maybe a couple of your tough times, maybe 2 or 3 such stories which you have faced over this long, great journey. Some of the challenges which you have faced and possibly a good learning for us.
Well, I think, as I told you, we have a strike rate of 5%, which means 95 times out of 100, we are having huge challenges and things like that. I think at the end of it, if you are not convinced, don't do it. Leave that 3-letter word out from your this thing. It's called ego. Leave it out. Top line, as my guru says, top line vanity, bottom line sanity, cash in bank reality. If the cash is in the bank, hey, you're home. So, a lot of challenges, a lot of things that have gone wrong. I think at every point, something or the other has gone wrong. I still remember, there was a government, this thing, India was importing a lot of these plastic parts for computers. Yeah. So they came out with a draconian law, all plastic parts to be banned. And suddenly we couldn't produce harnesses for Maruti. So what we did, how we got over it is all different, this thing. But things happen. So I said, it's important to be nimble-footed and think at that time.
Chand, I have no question. I just wanted to share with you that you have no idea how proud you have made us to be an Indian. You have really put India on the world map.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you very much for doing it.
Thank you. I was really scared when Ashok stood up for the question.
Hello, I'm Santosh Rathod. I represent a raw material company called as Trinzio. And motherson is one of the esteemed customers. And sir, you have been an inspiration for us, because we talk to our colleagues in Europe and, they talk about SMP and SMG and, how they are esteemed. So my one of the question to you, because I saw that you started from, say, merely 1,000 rupees and, bring...
And my mother's blessings.
Yeah, with mother blessing and, build such a great empire. of 11 billion, if I'm not wrong. So what is the future plan? Where do you want to take this?
The plan is very clear. It's in the annual report. 18 billion by 2020, March 31st, and bottom line of 40% growth. For us, I've told you, it has to be growth with the bottom line. It cannot be just growth. So it's like that. For the group, it's 26 billion. So wait and watch. I told you, rota hai kya? Aage aage dekhiye hota hai kya?
So your philosophy is full effort, full victory. Can you explain a bit, because that is a very inspiring line that I always hear from you whenever I meet you.
I wish this was my line. This is, again, coming from Gita. Lord Krishna tells Arjun, full effort is full victory. When you go running after the end, that is the result, you will always get misguided. All you have to do is to just make full efforts. When you make full effort, you will actually enjoy the whole ride, you will enjoy the whole experience, and more importantly, if the fruit comes to you, it's going to be to your favor. I can guarantee you that.
So are you involved in regular day-to-day progress in the company, or how do you function? How does a day look like for you? Because you travel over 300 days a year. So how do you manage all this? Once
Again, manage.
Yeah.
Okay. No, actually, the key point for you to understand is, I ask all of you a question. If you're the entrepreneur in your business, and if you're running your business on a day-to-day basis, my simple question to all of you to ponder is, who is thinking about the growth of the business? I think it's the entrepreneur's job to be looking at what are the new avenues, where to grow, to control. I always say to my friends that, my job is 4C. First is definitely customer. For me, there is no reason to be in business if the customer is missing. 2 are the collaborators. In the collaborators are all the stakeholders, my employees, my collaborator, like my joint venture partner, and things like that. The third one is cash capital. The entrepreneur per chap gets all the benefits only after everybody has been paid off. The tax has been paid, employees, everybody has been paid. Then the per chap will look at the dividend. So how are you talking with your investors and the people who are putting money into your company? And the fourth is control of vision. You are the one who worked together with your people and the team and formed this thing. So keep your head straight. Tomorrow, people will come, a lot of my banker friends come and tell me, John, what a lovely investment opportunity into housing, power sector. What else is the hot favorite nowadays? Disruptive technologies. All these things. So I control that. So I spend a lot of time, I visit a lot of factories, I go to the factories, I attend family days in every plant. It's an amazing thing.
So let me end this conversation by asking one last business question. We see a lot of global trade war kind of situation with Trump coming in, talking about tariffs, etc. You have operations in Mexico. He has reservation about Mexico. You have operations in US, China. How are you looking at the scenario? Do you think it is really a concern, or do you think it's cool?
Yeah, definitely. For the time period where this particular war is happening, it does scare a lot of people and things like that. But 3 things have come to the rescue of motherson. A, our belief that every country where we are producing is important. And it's not important to take that plant out and, let's shift it to India, let's shift it to China or something like that. I have 19 plants in China. But all I'm trying to say is that, yeah, you have to be in that country, and really the trade wars won't affect you too much. Second thing which is very important for us is the ability to understand a trade war is like a sumo match. I don't know how many of you know a sumo as a sport, but it's a lot about, beating their thighs and doing this, and my red button and your red button and all those wonderful things are there. But it's over. It's like the sumo fight. When it happens, it's over in 10 seconds, the whole fight is over. And the third most important thing about trade wars is be nimble-footed. Be able to change the country if the thing goes really against you. So to be nimble-footed is very important.
Last question would be, what kind of piece of advice you will give to your counterparts who are having global dreams, who wants to be recognized globally, have footprints in the markets like you have?
Only 2 words, ekla chalo. Figure it out for yourself.
Thank you so much for being so candid.